Good day, everyone. You are tuned into the ESI Africa, your go-to power and energy news channel. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm in conversation with Rivo, who is the Chief Executive Officer of JIRAMA in Madagascar. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. Thank you very much.
Hello, Mediasi.
Yes. Good. Thank you very much for joining me. I just wanted to understand, Madagascar is quite unique. How is your power industry? What is the general landscape in Madagascar?
So yes, obviously Madagascar is an island, so we don't benefit from, let's say, the interconnected network like we may have in Africa on the continent. So our energy mix today is mainly thermal energy, so 60% thermal energy. We have an installed capacity of 600 megawatt approximately installed all over across the country. So 40% of that is then renewable, which is hydro mainly. We are ramping up the solar part with 20 megawatt that was installed 1.5 years ago, and now we are adding 20 other megawatts, so 40 megawatt of solar in total, and that's still, as I said, ramping up.
Yeah.
We have also a big hydro power plant in the pipeline. Big for us is it's not like maybe in countries like Zambia, for example, where they have 1,000 megawatt of hydro. For us, it's around 200 megawatt. That is approximately what is already a huge capacity.
Yes.
In terms of production. So let's say power generation is mainly that mix, 60-40. Our perspectives, of course, is to increase the renewable part because we want to decrease the production costs over the years, so over the next 3 years. We want to invert that ratio, so to have the majority of the production on renewable.
Okay, that's a very good overview. I want to understand what are some of the challenges that you face as a utility company in Madagascar. Being an island, your challenges could be unique. What are some of those?
Yes and no. So what was interesting during this conference is to exchange with my peers, with the other CEOs from the other utilities. I think that's one of the most valuable assets that we have, and chance, privilege that we have coming here. We share common challenges like on the tariffs, on the revenue collection, of course on the availability, of the network and the distribution. But what makes us unique in Madagascar is that the country is stretched. It's quite a big country, even though it's an island, and the electricity access rate is still very low. We are at 17%. In the last 3 years, we just went up by 2 points. So we were starting at 15, now at 17. This is a real challenge because of the lack of infrastructure, so roads. The population is very distributed across the country. Then we are a public company, so we have a mission that is, of course, to bring electricity and water, because JIRAMA is electricity and water utilities to the most, last villages, last mile, everywhere in the country. So there is, of course, a cost benefit ratio that you have to consider. We have to do a lot of investment in the network, the interconnect, for example, the capital with the eastern part of the country, with the north, with the south. This is not interconnected yet. Yeah. So extend that the transmission lines to interconnect the people, the villages, and then increase, of course, the access to electricity. Also using small distributed grids, which you can do now quite easily with new technology.
Yes.
Talking about solar here, storage, of course, at reasonable costs.
Yeah. So there's obviously a difference between access and connectivity. What is the percentage rate, access versus connectivity in Madagascar?
Yeah, the access rate is the one I mentioned.
Okay.
On the connectivity part, we have big projects. Today we have 600,000 customers. We want to increase every year, so this year, next year by 100,000 more. Over a population today of let's say if you take the households, you would take 22 millions approximately. So if we take, for example, that ratio, so 600, 800 over the 22 millions, it's still low. Nevertheless, that progress is quite, for us, exponential, because we're used to connect around 30,000 customers per year, and you see that we are tripling basically the objectives this year and next year. And this is done with our technical financing partners and of course the government.
Yeah, good. Do you have appetite for independent power producers in Madagascar?
Yeah, we do. We are vertically integrated still, but a part of the production is already run through private suppliers, so in forms of PPAs. Let's say 60–70% of it is already running through PPAs. The rest is still public, and especially the distribution part is still public, which is good, because out of those 100 customers, 90% of them will be social connections. So the government is subsidizing basically the connection price. Connection price is today around 100 USD, like a standard connection, and we will reduce that to 10 USD. So 90 USD will be subsidized. In order for really social, let's say people in the social class to afford having a connection and having electricity within the home.
Good, that's very important. So in terms of Madagascar and Africa in general, what do you think is the solution to solve the electricity crisis?
Yeah, that's a large question. That's a large question. I would say there are three, maybe at least for Madagascar, because I cannot really speak for the other countries. For Madagascar, the first thing is secure production. Okay. Because we still have, in English it sounds nice, loading production shade. So
load shedding.
Load shedding. Yeah, that's right. In French, it's délestage. That doesn't sound so nice.
This sounds nice.
Yeah. So that part in Madagascar is still a challenge, because we don't have enough production yet compared to the demand. So we will have to increase that. But we are on the good way to do so.
Okay.
The second thing is, of course, reduce the costs, be it on the production or on the operating costs. Today, we are one of the countries that is not yet profitable, the utilities. We have a business plan to be profitable within the next 3 years by decreasing the cost. But today, with the fuel price, that is the two peaks that we had beginning of this year, it's a challenge. Nevertheless, I think by accelerating the energy, what we discussed this morning, the just energy transition, accelerating this path, I think we'll be there. It's like the second issue. And the third one is to have the cost reflective tariff, and that is a mix, a wise mix that we have to find between what can be supported by the population, of course, so regulated by the government, but on one hand, but on the other hand, of course, we need to cover our costs with the revenue. So that is, I would say, the main challenge that we are facing today. We are undergoing what we call optimization of the tariff, meaning that in some classes, for example, or type of industries, the tariff will even decrease in some part of the day. For example, the tariff during the night will be decreased. During the day, it will be increased. Yeah. So it's not an increase in general, but some tranches will be decreased, some of them will be increased.
What are your thoughts finally on unbundling of power utilities?
First of all, I think there must be some prerequisites. I would say unbundling in general, it's not rocket science, so let's say it's not it's not one size fits all. Yeah. You have to consider the context. If the access rate is quite high, there might be some context where it makes sense. If I'm talking about Madagascar today, I would say it's maybe it's too early because, of course, the access rate, as I mentioned, is still very low. So one, if it's a private company, would invest maybe yes in the production, as we are doing partly, but I'm not sure that the return on investment and the break-even will be reached in the distribution part, or even in the transmission or in the transportation, in the transmission line. So for Madagascar, I would say it's not yet the best answer. Maybe we have to have a look at it differently. Share some assets, maybe start to share some assets on the production, maybe go more on the renewable part in terms of private, but this needs to be analyzed carefully.
Yeah, you know what, we could go on having this conversation, but it was good to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate that. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please subscribe to ESI Africa and like our video and share it. Thank you very much for watching.